views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Okay, here we are. We are ready for the Bronx Buzz, and it's nice to see you again. As you might know, I do Bronx Talk, which is, of course, Monday nights. But on Thursday nights, we do the Bronx Buzz, and that is a reporters' roundtable, so you can get an idea what Bronx reporters are thinking, what they're saying, who they are, and so that you can get a real feel for the inside behind some of the stories that you read and maybe even see on television in the Bronx. Tonight we have two great reporters, one who's been around a little while and one who's really just getting started. From the Norwood News, it's Jaleesa Balkman. Good evening, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's nice
And
to be here.
my longtime friend,
Yes.
and she works now at BronxNet Television, Arlene Makoko. So nice to have you.
Thank you so much, Gary, and congratulations on Bronx Buzz.
On the Buzz.
Yes,
We've been here since March, and we're not counting the days. We're just doing it every week. Jaleesa, let's start with you. So you are at the Norwood News. You're a freelancer. Talk to me just a little bit about your background and what you did to get you to this point that you're a writer for the Norwood News.
Well, I'm a
You went to Clinton, right?
yeah, I went to DeWitt Clinton, and then I studied journalism at SUNY New Paltz.
Right.
And I'm a nuance writer with a specialty in like health and science. So like, but I wanted to like write for Norwood News just so I could like learn more about the borough I live in. Sorry.
What happened?
Wrong with her mic.
Did I do something wrong?
No.
Oh my God. Usually it's me.
Yeah,
Oh, she said that.
Noise, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Like
hear.
feedback or something.
So we're starting from scratch?
Do you want to start from scratch?
I think you'll have to.
Sorry. Thank you.
No problem.
Good. Well, you know what? That's since March. That's the first time that's happened, and for you, that was good because it helped you get.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everybody, we're here for the Bronx Buzz. We come here every Thursday night and we bring in Bronx reporters. We do a little round table. We finally got a round table here to use for the show. But the idea is really to give you a chance to meet Bronx reporters. You see their names on some of the bylines and things like that in the Bronx newspapers. And also you see them on TV doing a little reporting. And this way you get to know who they are, what they're thinking about, where they're from, and learn a little bit more about what motivates them to do what they do. Two great reporters, one really just getting started and one who's been around a little while. So we'll say good evening to Jaleesa Balkman from the Norwood News. Nice to have you.
Good evening. It's nice to be here.
Nice to have you. And Arlene Makoko, my longtime friend who's right now with BronxNet Television.
Thank you so much, and congratulations again on Bronx Buzz.
The Bronx Buzz, it's our second show. It's crazy, but we do it every week. Jaleesa, let's start with you. So you're a freelancer for the Norwood News.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got to a point. Now you graduated DeWitt Clinton High School, my alma mater as well.
Yes.
And tell me how you got to the point where you wrote for the Norwood News.
Well, while I was at DeWitt Clinton, I joined the newspaper club, and that's when I became interested in journalism. So I went to New Paltz and I studied journalism at SUNY New Paltz. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I started working for University Herald, which is like a aggregation site. I had to write like 8 articles per day.
She's going to tell you that's really good. That's really good work. Yeah.
That is.
Yes.
Good
and
way
then,
to get going.
and then I did that for about like 2 years. So I graduated in 2013. I did that for 2 years. And around a year ago, I started working for Medical Daily, which is a news site. So I like wrote 2 to 3 stories daily.
Health stories?
I wrote health stories.
Local health stories?
Well,
In general?
in general,
Right.
health stories. And then I started working for Norwood News because then because I realized that I didn't really know much about my
About
My
the
borough.
craft of about your home borough. I
yeah,
get
but my
that.
home borough, and I wanted to. One of the reasons why I wanted to be a journalist was to like give a voice to the voiceless. And while I was working at these digital publications, I wasn't really interacting with people. So, working for Norwood News, I get to interact with the
And-
people I'm writing for.
Again, I know it's something Arlene relates to, and I can certainly relate to. When you were, I mean, because your interest in journalism started way back in high school.
Yes.
Do you have a sense of what it was in the back of your mind that said, I want to do this? Was it really always giving voice to the voiceless, or did
No.
you were just curious? Give
yeah.
us some of it.
I was just like a nosy person, and I didn't want.
Which is a very good trait for
Yeah.
somebody who's going to be a journalist.
I was just really nosy, and I didn't want to be a. I used to read all these detective novels, but I knew I didn't want to be a detective because I found out to be a detective, you had to be like a cop first, and I didn't want to be a cop, and I didn't want to be a detective. That's just like a lot of work. So I was like, I could be a journalist and have like a license to like be nosy and ask questions.
Being inquisitive and all that kind of
Inquisitive
stuff.
and everything,
Do you find, I guess maybe you've already answered this, but that in your work for the Norwood News, and you've actually been pretty prolific in a relatively short period of time, that you enjoy the writing and the crafting of the story as much as you like going out, or you really like going out and meeting people? I'm guessing that you like going out based on what you said before.
Yeah, I like going out, and then writing on deadline can be like, especially if it's close to like publication time, it can be like stressful, but I'm sort of a deadline-driven person,
Oh,
so
so
it's
there you go. She's perfect.
So-
She got the job. Perfect.
yeah, so it's like more like of a adrenaline rush. So I kinda
You know,
like it.
I'm going to say, step out of character, so to speak, although I'm always a character. But actually, I brought Jaleesa to a story that was in my neighborhood, and I walked around and I watched her work. And really, for a young journalist, she had really all the right instincts. So congratulations
Thank
for
you.
doing the right thing. So let's talk about a couple of things that you've written. One is, I was fascinated because I hadn't really heard about this idea of male fishing, and it apparently is like a big issue.
It is.
Is it in Norwood as a big issue, or all over the Bronx, or where is it at?
It's an issue all over the Bronx, but it's really bad in the 52nd precinct. So
Really?
the 52nd precinct covers Norwood,
Sure.
Bedford Park, Kingsbridge, and Fordham sections of the Bronx.
Right.
And basically, like, thieves fish for mail. So they use, they use a bottle, a sticky adhesive, and string.
And so they go into a mailbox?
Yeah, they go into a drop-off mailbox and they dip the.
So you drop your rent in the mailbox,
Yeah.
or you send a check to, because you're paying a fine to the city for your parking ticket or something like that, and they go in there and take it and then turn that into cash?
Yeah.
That's hard.
They
That is
pick
so,
up-
it's so diabolical, but to go to that length, how big a problem is it? I mean, is this really an immense problem?
Yeah, I mean,
can't
I
believe
think
that.
the officers at the 52nd precinct conducted a joint operation with the postal workers.
Postal police,
workers.
probably.
So they
yeah.
did 14 joint operations, and they arrested like 22 to 24 arrests.
That is unbelievable.
That was like
in one
or
precinct.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
That's my next story now. That's good. Yeah.
Well, that's
happened-
good.
Camera there
We're
and just-
sharing stories here.
Yeah, and that happened in like a 1-2 week period.
That is unbelievable. And I guess so then you have to go through the checking centers and everything else. What a fascinating story. I had never heard about it. I can't even imagine it. They take a bottle, they put like gum or some sticky
Yeah,
thing
and
on
then
it.
they dip it into the.
That is into the mailbox. Wow, that is wild. So then one more story I want to ask you about, which actually is a personal one to me. My longtime friend Don Bluestone, who is the executive director at the Marshall Montefiore Community Center, is retiring, Before I ask you about that story, I'm going to tell you that I was a camper, a day camper at the Marshall Montefiore Community Center before Don was there. But we used to joke because I coached Little League for many years at Marshall Montefiore. And I used to joke with Don that Suzanne and I, my wife, we had 2 kids, and Don is the one who brought them up because they went to the after school, they played Little League, they did everything at the Marshall Montefiore Community Center. It seems like, well, a guy's retiring, so what? But this is a big thing in that part of the Bronx, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Don's made like great impact at Marshall Montefiore Community Center since he like became the executive director in the late 1980s.
Don't start counting because then you're going to start, how old Uncle Gary is too.
Yeah, so he's like made a big contribution to the Bronx. So he's like,
it's like a big moment, right?
It's a big moment.
A big moment, and I think for me, and this is my advocacy, it underscores the importance of these community centers in our borough, because here's one that has tentacles everywhere. They have Beacon after school programs at all different schools, and he's really been a legend. And so is he done? Is he gone? I should call him up and say, hey Don, what's going on? What's this? They're having a party, right?
They celebrated his retirement on October 20th.
Okay.
And they named one of the campgrounds after him.
Yes. I read that in your article.
Yeah, they named Center Square, which is where I guess all the campers meet to begin and end their day. So they named that. They're turning Center Square into Bluestone Square.
Okay,
yeah.
Arlene, let's talk with you. You've, I don't want to say been around a little while, but you've been around a little while.
Yeah,
and I never, after all the years that I know you, I never asked you how you got started. How did it get started?
Well, thank you for asking. I was in fashion. See, I'm getting a little uncomfortable too, a little nervous, but yeah, it's fine. It's scary. I started out in the fashion industry. Went to the high school fashion industries. I actually tried at that time. I didn't know too much about journalism, but I tried to write for their paper, and they said no. I didn't have the style.
Didn't have what it takes. Oh my goodness.
And I thought, okay, well, it's not for me. I went into fashion for a while, and then something happened to me. I was born. I lived in a third world country for many years. I was born in Kinshasa, Zaire, which is now today the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so I already had this interest in international affairs, and I kind of made a decision that, I should either work at the UN or maybe television. Maybe I can get into TV and just kind of offer my interest and sort of give my background to them and offer my expertise. And I went from fashion merchandising into television. I started.
And you came to BronxNet.
Well, I started before BronxNet. I started at Channel 5, Fox 5. They have a trainee program over there.
I see.
I don't know if they still have it. From there, it was about 6 to 9 months. I went to Channel 11, and I became a desk assistant and assignment editor. So I ended up working with reporters on their stories, helping them to build them, calling up people.
So
looking,
you really got your hands dirty.
I was totally in the middle of it, and I thought, I can't. Every day it was just like a reality check for me. Like, here I was in fashion. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here working with reporters that we see every day on camera and helping them. They're relying on me. So it was a daily news show. So it was very kind of fast paced. They had a certain amount of time to get things done. And at one point, I thought, you know what? I started producing a Crime Stopper series, and I thought, you know what? I've been producing this, writing this, maybe I can do this. All it needs is a stand-up. So I thought, you know what, I think I'm gonna try this out. So I put together a resume reel and worked.
And so wait, you came to BronxNet
and
first?
then it came, I was there at Channel 11 for 3.5 years, and then I came to BronxNet with my reel.
And I'm gonna fast forward here, and then you were at New York 1 for a period of time?
Yes, I went from there to New York 1 and was really, and now I was in the real thick of it all. Right. And, running around the city. I was in the political unit and then general assignment. So it seemed...
You've had a taste of everything.
I've had a taste of everything. It has been remarkable. I'm very grateful. I always...
Before we get into some of the stuff that you might have done lately for BronxNet Television, as you look back, do you have like a favorite story or a favorite moment outside of what we had agreed that we're going to talk about?
Oh my
Something
gosh.
that makes you say, gee, that was just so much fun or so
Oh
great
my
or something?
gosh. Well-
or is that unfair because there's too many?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, one story I always remember, and it was funny because I was on the desk at Channel 11, and they get the interns involved, and they said, you want to go out in the field? Sure. It was the Crown Heights riots,
Oh,
and
my
there I
goodness.
was in the live truck, and actually we were out on the street, and the next thing I knew, our cameraman grabbed me and I felt like I was being thrown into the truck. He slammed the door, and that was my first taste of what it's like to be out in the
pressure
field.
and
The
certainly
pressure, yes.
that's the kind of thing you'd never forget.
Yes.
You've really been covering a lot of interesting things. You had told me about this Jane Goodall story. So
Yes.
tell us about that, and then we're going to show one of the pieces that
Okay.
you did. So
Awesome.
what is the Jane Goodall story?
This is a woman who came to Tanzania in 1960 in her 20s, and the rest is history. She's in her 80s, and now she's giving back to young kids. And some of her work is groundbreaking on chimpanzees. She's actually helped to save the lives of many of them that were in danger of being poached.
Right.
And
They call
so,
it, you had told me she was a primatologist.
That's working with chimpanzees
Right.
and that's that whole family.
Right.
So she's an expert on the chimpanzees, and her work is groundbreaking. The National Geographic knows her. She's known internationally.
And again, to move it forward, she was in the Bronx.
Yes, she came to Van Cortlandt Park, and it was just awesome. Young kids loved her. She has her Roots and Shoots program, and you'll see the video. The kids just are adoringly watching her like she's a star, and she is.
She is a
Yeah,
star, and also
yeah.
to meet somebody who maybe not world renowned,
Yeah.
but is a unique individual person must be
Right.
as exciting.
Oh,
as can
it
be.
was exciting.
I'm going to just say this. You don't have to say it. Arlene came and did a story about my wife and her art exhibit. And it really was wonderful that you did that. I know
was
you appreciated her
wonderful.
work,
Yes.
which I appreciated also.
Yes.
The other story you did, what does this border cross mean?
The
story?
border
And that
cross
we're going
me.
to show that, right?
Oh,
That's
good.
The one we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
show.
Okay,
So
good.
give us a little intro. What is it?
Well, the Border Cross Me is really an exciting sort of a collection of different women artists who are all Latin and who all have had a taste of what it's like to be in this country. Sometimes, I think there was one that went to Greece, but basically in this country, learning about basically strangers in this country.
A new culture.
A new culture.
A new culture.
And there are many.
If I could just interject, it's an experience
Yes.
that is distinctly Bronx and increasingly Bronx because we have so many people that come from not only one country but from all over the world.
From all over the world, and it's something that a lot of people can relate to. It's actually in a studio called Bronx Art Space. It's right off the 6th train, 138th Street, a few blocks north from there. And it's exciting. It's just great. There I met the curator is from Colombia. There's an artist from Peru. From practically
All
it
right,
seemed
so,
every.
and
yeah.
so here's the story. Now, how
Okay.
long ago was this done?
This was actually, it's still there at the location.
No, I
it was
meant
about
the
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
when
ago.
I was there
Okay.
for the opening.
So here we go. This was and this aired on BronxNet's program Open.
Yes,
Okay.
it did.
So here it is.
Okay.
Arlene McCoco on BronxNet. On BronxNet.
Thank
on the
you.
Bronx Buzz.
Thank you.
Take a look.
All right. The work of over 10 Latin American women artists are on display at Bronx Art Space, located at East 140th Street, all addressing themes involving the emotional, psychological, and physiological effects of immigration and migration. This one is a snapshot of Mexican-born Blanca Amezcua while in Greece, a place where she lived for 7 years. The image taken just for fun, she says represents so much more.
There was a feeling of isolation for not speaking the language.
Other themes include political upheaval, dispossession, and religious intolerance. This image is by Venezuelan-born Patricia Cazorla.
This piece talks about the fragility of the citizens. It relates to the border that lies between my hometown and myself.
Curator, who is originally from Colombia, says the collection works to broaden and expand the pool of artists on display here in the city.
I'm an artist, and I was thinking a lot about the New York art scene and how often the same artists are always being shown when it comes to anything that has to do with Latin America. And I thought there are so many great, wonderful women artists in New York. from so many different countries who have so many stories. I thought, wouldn't it be great to make an exhibition where they can tell their story?
They're all dealing with issues of immigration, on the fact that they have moved their lives from another country to here to the U.S. and all of what that entails. Some have a little bit of nostalgia.
And a bit of nostalgia can be seen in Spanish-born Catalina Vallejo's paradise that takes us back to her hometown with interior and exterior views of the house where she grew up.
The Border Across Me is on exhibit right here at Bronx Art Space through November 12th. Be sure to catch the artists talking on October 26th right here at 6:30. For BronxNet, this is Arlene McCoco.
All right, there it is.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Arlene, and I know that's the kind of story you really are inspired by. A quick word about it, then we're going to take a break.
Yes, just being a part of and seeing the Bronx arts movement sort of take hold is just exciting. I think they have a 5th Biennial Latin art exhibit over at the Longwood Gallery right now. So a lot is going on. It's really exciting.
We're going to talk more about it and the implications of it and the significance of it after we take a break. I said break. And then that'll be our Buzz of the Week. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Great.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family? This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry. Go along, son.
It's always worth it.
Whoa!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. Our guests today are Jaleesa Balkman from the Norwood News and Arlene McCoco from BronxNet Television.
Yes.
Arlene, let's just get back to the art scene. Talk to me about how important you see the art scene is to the Bronx, the growth and the development of the Bronx.
You know, there used to be a time where I grew up for a time in the Bronx, and there used to be a time where I would, get up, you go to school, you get on the train, you go down to Manhattan, you come back. You go down to Manhattan, you come back. And it was rare that we heard of anything happening in the community, and I didn't judge it.
Positive, I assume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I didn't judge anything, but we didn't really go to events within the borough. And I think that more and more, I find even friends that I have in Manhattan, they're always asking, hey, what about that Walk of Fame? How hard is it? How do I get up there? Yeah. So I'm having people ask me questions now about places where they never did before.
Very
so I find that there's definitely a huge change in how people are viewing the Bronx, how people are talking about it now. I find people are telling me, I'll be with someone,
Right.
and they won't know that I work in the Bronx, and they'll tell me. So that's how I know some great news is getting out there.
Jaleesa, your sense, I mean, maybe we could connect it to the Marshall Montefiore Community Center story, because of course they empower kids to be creative in that. Just your sense about arts in the Bronx, or what role it has in some of the things you've seen?
Arts allows kids to be creative and to express themselves, and it gives them an outlet to express themselves, and it keeps them busy, which also keeps them out of trouble. So.
Of course. So when you have
Right.
a community center that does stuff like
Yeah.
that, you know, this is, now we're going around the round table, and I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that one day, and I think I've said, I don't know if I've said it on this show before, one day somebody is going to like do a study, and they're going to say, you know what, I just studied performance of kids in schools, and if they get more art, they get more music, they get more performance, they get more dance, and even physical activity, they do much better in school. And he's going to be hailed as this big genius, as like for the first time. Oh my goodness, what a revelation. But of course, it makes all the sense in the world. Talk about the range of arts that you've seen. I'm sure in your covering of the Bronx, you've seen a whole range of arts.
Oh yeah, well we, just recently in the last few years, we've seen the Andrew Friedman home turn into an art space and a performing arts space. And who would have thought that something, a building like that could be transformed into something for arts, and they've done it. It's been really successful. I think of the Pregonis Theater. That has been an amazing theater, and that's a state-of-the-art theater, and people in the community are invited, professionals come in. Yeah.
Well, I want to interject about, which I've known for many, many years, when and you will remember when I had a daytime show on BronxNet, which goes back to, and it sounds funny to say, the early part of the century. There was the Bronx Trolley was founded, and so now, and I did it once. Is it still alive?
It's still
alive. Let's talk about what that is.
Oh my gosh! Well, this is something that's available the first Wednesday of every month, and it's basically an art and culture trolley tour of the Bronx, of the South Bronx area. So you can pick up the tour trolley at 5:30 at the Longwood Gallery. That's at 149th Street in the Grand Concourse, and it will drop you off at different places. So they make 3 tours. So there's a 5:30 departure. Do you know what?
Did you ever do it? No, you didn't. Oh, we got to get Jaleesa on
we got to get Jaleesa on it. Well, I haven't done it either. I've been on the tour trolley during Bronx Week, but I haven't done the trolley tour. I've covered an event, but I would love to do that.
Yeah,
Me too.
We should all go. Let's go.
Let's do it. Right.
And it's like the second Wednesday of every month.
It's always the first Wednesday.
First
Wednesday of every month.
All right. Jaleesa, in your movement around Norwood, now you mostly are around Norwood. Do you see arts? Do people talk about arts, or do you feel like, gee whiz, this is something that maybe we could do more of in that part of the Bronx? You don't want me to put you on the spot?
Well, I think it's important that kids know that
self-expression and things like that?
Yeah, but like you was talking about the Bronx Trolley.
Yeah,
it's things like the Bronx Museum of Arts and the Bronx Trolley is really important, so that kids know that they can experience art in their own neighborhood, in their own borough, in their own neighborhood, and they don't have to like venture off to like Manhattan or something.
Yeah, we don't want to go there.
Right.
Listen, Jaleesa Balkman from the Norwood News, thank you so much.
Yes.
We appreciate your first chance to be on TV. Arlene's on TV all the time.
Nice
to have you with us,
so
Arlene
nice.
Makoko.
Thank you. Thanks
My old buddy. And I don't mean old in years, I mean long time.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay. So that's it, folks. We will see you next week right here for the Bronx Buzz on Thursday evening. And of course, Monday night we'll be on Bronx Talk. What are we having this week? Oh, we're doing a show about veterans. That'll be a good show. So, good night. See you. Keep buzzing along.